What drives two brothers, raised in luxury, to kill their own parents in cold blood? Was it greed or something much darker? This isn't just a murder case. It's a story of trauma, fear, and secrets buried behind mansion walls. The truth? It shook the nation, and it still haunts us today.
Erik and
yesterday we showed
Laura Jarrett.
Erik and Lyle Menendez are this morning one step closer to freedom, with their life sentences reduced nearly 36 years after they killed their parents. To discuss, let's bring in someone who's followed.
What is that?
On the evening of August 20th, 1989, the wealthy enclave of Beverly Hills, California, witnessed a crime that would soon grip the nation. Inside a sprawling mansion, José and Kitty Menendez were found shot to death in their living room. The scene was gruesome. José had been shot in the head, his body nearly unrecognizable, while Kitty had tried to run but was gunned down mid-escape. The perpetrators? Their own sons, Lyle and Erik Menendez. At first, the brothers appeared to be in shock. They called 911, sobbing uncontrollably, telling the dispatcher that someone had killed their parents. In the following months, they attended the funeral, comforted family members, and continued their lives, or so it seemed. But suspicions began to mount. Police noticed inconsistencies in their stories. Their spending habits after the murders raised eyebrows. Rolex watches, luxury cars, expensive clothes, and lavish vacations, all paid for with their parents' fortune. Still, there was no concrete evidence linking them to the crime. Not yet. The breakthrough came when Erik, the younger brother, confessed to his therapist. It was a moment of guilt, fear, and perhaps desperation.
I've been having all of these suicidal thoughts recently. We killed our parents. Lyle and I killed my mom and dad.
The therapist's mistress overheard the confession and tipped off the authorities. Lyle and Erik were arrested soon after. The media went into a frenzy. Here were two young men from one of the wealthiest families in America, on trial for killing their own parents. Cameras followed their every move. Talk shows debated their guilt. Tabloids painted them as spoiled brats who murdered out of greed. But when the trial began, a different story emerged. The defense didn't deny that the brothers had pulled the trigger. Instead, they argued why. They painted a picture of a household ruled by terror.
After sports practices, he would massage me, and we would have these talks, and he would show me, and he would fondle me, and he would ask me to do the same with him, and I would touch him, and we would undress.
Where would this take place?
In my bedroom.
José Menendez, they claimed, was a controlling, abusive father. He allegedly molested both his sons for years, starting when they were very young. The emotional, physical, and sexual abuse left them traumatized, paranoid, and desperate. Kitty, their mother, was described as mentally unstable and addicted to prescription pills. She too was emotionally abusive and, according to the brothers, complicit in the abuse. The home, they said, was not a sanctuary, but a prison. The defense argued that the murders were not premeditated acts of greed, but the result of years of psychological torment. They said the final straw came when Erik told his parents he wanted to speak out about the abuse. That night, José allegedly threatened to kill them if they exposed him. Convinced their lives were in danger, the brothers armed themselves with shotguns, waited until their parents were watching TV, and opened fire. In their minds, it was either kill or be killed. The prosecution countered with a more calculated theory. They claimed the brothers wanted control of the family fortune. They highlighted the extravagant purchases made after the murders, arguing that the brothers showed no signs of trauma or remorse. The first trial, which began in 1993, was televised and captivated millions. It ended in a hung jury. Some jurors believed the abuse claims. Others saw cold-blooded murder. A second trial followed in 1995, but this time, the judge barred much of the testimony related to abuse. Without that context, the jury convicted both Lyle and Erik of first-degree murder. In 1996, they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For years, the Menendez brothers faded from the public eye. But then, something changed. In the era of social media and true crime obsession, their story resurfaced. Clips of the trial went viral on TikTok. A new generation began to question the original narrative. Letters Erik had written to a cousin during his teenage years emerged, describing the abuse in detail. A former member of the boy band, Menudo, came forward, accusing José Menendez of sexually assaulting him years before the murders. Suddenly, the idea that Lyle and Erik were victims didn't seem so far-fetched. Then, in a stunning development in early 2025, both Lyle and Erik Menendez were officially resentenced by a California judge. After reviewing new evidence, including the Menudo singer's testimony and corroborating abuse letters, the court reduced their sentence from life without parole to 50 years. This means that for the first time since 1996, the Menendez brothers became eligible for parole. The courtroom was filled with emotion. Supporters of the brothers saw it as long overdue recognition of the abuse they endured. Critics, however, called it a dangerous precedent. The case once again flooded news headlines, reigniting public debates. Should trauma justify murder? And if the justice system failed to recognize childhood abuse before, does that excuse a violent act committed years later? These are the questions now being asked on national talk shows, social media threads, and inside legal circles. Advocates pushed for a re-examination of the case. They argued that if the abuse had been fully understood, the brothers might have received a different sentence. Psychologists weighed in, saying the brothers showed signs of complex PTSD. Documentaries and podcasts reignited public interest. In 2025, after multiple appeals and public pressure, a judge reviewed the case. The life sentences were reduced to 50 years, making the brothers eligible for parole. As of now, both Lyle and Erik remain in prison, waiting for their chance at freedom. Their case remains one of the most debated in American legal history. Were they abused children who saw no escape? Or were they entitled killers who used trauma as a shield? The truth may lie somewhere in between. But one thing is certain. The story of the Menendez brothers is not just about murder. It's about power, fear, silence, and a family whose secrets exploded into national headlines. And for many, those questions still echo today.
Subscribe to Swan Moon for more crime stories.